Pole position for the final then goes to Lizzie Mentier with Oliver Fabricius alongside Jared Fox-Whiteley and Lucas Blanford on the second row, Lewis Goff and Jack Stimpson on row number 3. Melissa Adrian, Leon Barlow, row 4. Ben Adrian and Emily Cooper on row number 5. Addison Smith, if they can get that cart fixed, because it did need a lot of work, he'll be out in 11th place with Harry Platek Holland on the 6th row. Callum Foster and Tom Nottingham share row 7. Isaac Parkinson and Sonny Morgan on row 8. Jack Burgess and Daniel Parsons on row number 9. Ben Horner, almost forgot about him there because he had an off earlier on, and he starts with 41 points. He is in 19, so apologies there, Ben. Normally you're a little bit further up than that. I sort of missed that you were not there in the timing, and that you were further down than you may well have expected to be. So just having a quick look at the timing, and Lucas Blanford, who has won all of the races so far today, has had we saw him he had that incident in the third race, and the reason that he's not on pole position is that he picked up not only a 5-second penalty for a bumper non-conformity, so for, the front end would have pushed in, but did also pick up a full 1-lap penalty for causing an avoidable incident. So that drops him from P1 to P16 in that third heat, which means that the points for the day, the 2 heat victories and that 16th, are only enough to put him in 4th place for this mini max final, which will see Lizzie Mentier. So that third heat then would have promoted Jared Fox-Whiteley into a win in our mini class for heat 3. So we're about to go out as we start moving there with camera crew for the Driven Dreams docu-series following this weekend. Quite a lot of emphasis on girls in motorsport this weekend, so they're following Lizzie Mentier, who goes off pole, following Isabella Stansmore-Wilson as well, and also following Max Shields through his quest in two different race classes throughout the weekend as well. So that's where the focus has been. There's your camera crew from Driven Dreams. They've been round the paddock for the last 2 days, focusing on our drivers from that dock. We've got 2 round. I think that could be Leon Barlow and Ben Adrian facing the wrong way on the outlap. And Ben Adrian looks like he could be rolling into retirement, unfortunately for him. Let's see whether he gets going again. Looked like he was going slow and trying to sort his nose out. Look at the front end of that car. That nose has taken a bit of a beating already. He's just got to be struggling now. He's got to catch up on the back of this one. I'm sure he's hoping for a roll round, just so he's got half a chance of getting somewhere near the pack here. There's everybody else behind, and it's good to see actually on the outside there with a brand new black Nauseo panel, the 15 of Addison Smith, back after what was a terrible incident in heat number 3, when it looks like we've made the decision to roll round again. It could potentially be there that we are not in the correct order, as Daniel Parsons and Emily Cooper look like they've managed to get in each other's way round the final complex of corners. So now the drivers will pick the pace back up again to stop the plug oiling up, but have to try and then get back into some sort of order. Leon Barlow has managed to get back in there. Ben Adrian as well is back in. So, yeah, like I was saying before, really, really good to see Addison Smith back out after what was I'll say it was a terrible incident. He ended up under a cart in the end of heat 3. Unfortunately, brought the race to a red flag. We then went racing again after that, but he could take no further part, unfortunately. More drama on the rolling up lap. That's Ben Horner. I think, look, he might have spun on his own rather than having any assistance. So at least he's not managed to get in with anybody else. It seemed like everybody was having at least a 2-kart accident on this rolling up lap here in minis. So off the front row then, Lizzie Mentier. Not sure why she's pointing to the left, but it's Fabricius alongside. We are about to go racing. It's going to be a nice clean start this time from minis, and Fabricius is going to go round the outside, and Lizzie Mentier is already going quite slowly. That car not handling quite as well as she was doing. And have a look at this. Is that a puncture for Mentier? I'm not quite sure, but she's going really, really slowly off pole position, and she is going backwards. Your pole position, Lizzie Mentier, is already being swallowed up by the field here. We've got another driver facing the wrong way. That's Leon Barlow. So he had it off on the out lap and off as well on the first lap. And Lizzie Mentier from pole position is going backwards in the 50. Fabricius then leading the way from Blandford. Looks like we could have Jared Fox-Whiteley in third place. And Lizzie Mentier there, and that is a puncture right rear for Lizzie Mentier. And that is going to be a retirement. There's no way she can drag that one round for the next 8 minutes or so. Lizzie Mentier then looks like she's going to retire as Lucas Blandford now all over the back of Oliver Fabricius. Run then down towards Christmas Corner. Fabricius has got a couple of cart lengths with Fox-Whiteley in third place. Stimpson and Addison Smith down the inside of Lewis Goff. Smith from 11th place in this Minimax final is up into P5 in that cart that was rebuilt hastily after that accident, up into 5th place already. That, if he can hold on to it, will be just rewards as Blandford goes down the inside of Fabricius into the left-hander of Osiers. And can Fabricius stick with Blandford into that corner? Let's see whether he can hold on or not. I'm not sure that he can. And now he's just got to try and stick with Blandford and see whether he can stay with and get on the podium here in the CKC series. Jack Stimpson there in that unmistakable, just like looks like the cart's on fire, that livery with the black. Addison Smith down the inside. He's on a mission here, through up into 4th place. Stimpson, I was about to say, was a driver that was charging. He was picking places off in the previous heat. Mentier picks up a mechanical flag, so it looks like she's still trying to drag that number 50 round, but she will now have to come in. So the mechanical flag will be displayed on the overhead gantry. It's a black background with a big orange circle in the middle. And you don't have a choice when that's out. You're into the pit lane and into retirement unless you can change something very quickly. And we don't have F1 style pit stops in karting, so it's not going to be a couple of seconds to bolt a new wheel onto that one. There she is, still trying to valiantly drag that kart round to pick up some points, but the mechanical flag is out and she will have no choice but to come into the pit lane. 6.5 minutes remaining, and this is P4. That's Ben Horner coming into the pits as well. Blandford, Fabricius and Fox-Whiteley are your top 4 or top 3 runners, with Addison Smith, Lewis Goff, Jack Stimpson, Melissa Adrian, Ben Adrian, Harry Platek Holland and Emily Cooper inside the top 10 here then at Whilton Mill. Stimpson has a quick play with the radiator. That's what they're doing when they're lifting that flap up. It's just getting more air into the cart and into the engine to help it keep the temperature where it should be. Give that engine optimum performance. You see there, Melissa Adrian, she's still got her radiator flap down. Ben Adrian, he's got his up. So they all try and maintain. Jack Stimpson as well. You see at the bottom there, that colour, that they often put tape over the radiators as well to sort of maximise or minimise at times the amount of air that goes in depending on the temperature. If it's a warm day, they'll have all of that radiator open, trying to maximise the amount that they can get in to keep the engine at the correct temperature. On a cold day, they cover it up to let less air in. As now it looks like Lewis Goff's going to try and get down the inside of Addison Smith into the entry into the boot corner. Now look at Addison Smith's nose cone. That should be blue, red and white, and there's just a lot of black on it from that incident earlier on. So we've got another car off on the side of the track. That looks like that could be Tom Nottingham. He's still being shown as 4 laps down, so we missed that one at the start of the race, but he's 4 laps down in this. We're 5 laps in. Now it's starting to get quite busy in this battle for 4th place between Smith, Goff, Stimpson and the 2 Adrians. Melissa in front of Ben on the back of this 5-kart battle as Addison Smith goes too tight down into Ashby's, makes the same mistake that he did in his battle with Jared Fox-Whiteley in heat number 2, and defends too much down there into that corner and has lost a place to Lewis Goff, who moves up into 4th place. Smith still right on the back of Goff as they go into the boot section. Half race distance has gone in this 10-minute plus 1 lap final then for our Mini Max races, as we get confirmation there, and a personal best as well for Lewis Goff as Ben Adrian slides and tries to get alongside Melissa Adrian in the background, right in the slipstream. Will he pop out in the run up to Christmas Corner? I think he stays in behind and decides that there's plenty more of this race to go and doesn't need to show his hand too soon. The top 3 have all broken away and have spaced themselves out fairly evenly. Blandford 1.5 seconds in front of Fabricius. Him in turn is 8/10 in front of Jared Fox-Whiteley before we've got the best part of 3 seconds back to this very intense battle for 4th place between Lewis Goff and Addison Smith. Jack Stimpson in the middle behind. He's got a couple of cart lengths to the battle, which I'm sure as soon as an overtake goes in from Addison Smith will close him right up on the back of Lewis Goff and Addison Smith if they decide to battle it out, or they're going to just decide to hold firm between the two of them. Because if they do start battling, it will turn it into a 3-cart battle for 4th place. And Stimpson, though, close enough and has enough pace actually to close right up on the back there. One thing I have noted right at the top is Oliver Fabricius. I think he's either got a problem or made a mistake, because Jared Fox-Whiteley's only a 10th off him now, and he was 8/10 off on the previous lap. So the battle for... Oh, there's contact there between Addison Smith and Lewis Goff. Contact between the two of them. Smith puts his arm off the wheel somewhat apologetically there. Goff's was off in the other end of the spectrum. He wasn't overly happy, but there was contact between the two of them into that corner. It's certainly moved Goff back a few spaces as Addison Smith has gone back up to 4th. Stimpson into 5th then. Goff is in P6 with Ben and Melissa Adrian behind. Millie still in 7th with Ben in 8th place. So still running nose to tail, and now Lewis Goff, I'm sure he's got a bit of red mist on him now to try and close this one back up. He's got to get past Jack Stimpson. There goes the radiator up to... Had a quick look at the data logger on his steering wheel. Not only does it give you lap time, but on these Rotax carts, it'll also give you engine, and by that I mean like water temperature. Gives them some data, and he's seen that he could do with a bit more work from that engine, so he's opened it up and he's going to let some more air in. 1.5 minutes remaining then, as they are still fairly evenly spread out. Ben Adrian right on the back of Melissa. These are the closest two in this battle. As the run down towards Ashby's for the two of them. So the two Lincolnshire-based youngsters moving up, as with a lot of these drivers, for their first season in the mini ranks. Having majority of them, certainly Fox-Whiteley, Mentia is in her 2nd year in minis, but Fox-Whiteley, Smith, Goff, both of the Adrians in their first year in the mini ranks, having moved up from cadets last year, having raced here at CKC in the 200 ranks. We're going to have 3 more laps here of minis, because the leaders are down the road and they'll get round before the remaining 48 seconds elapses here at Whilton Mill. Out at the front, the gap is comfortable from Blandford, but now it's Fox-Whiteley up into 2nd place in front of Oliver Fabricius. So that one couldn't be more of Fox-Whiteley just turning it up a little bit rather than Fabricius having a problem, because Fox-Whiteley caught him at the rate of around about half a second a lap about 4 minutes ago, and now he's managed to get through and is moving away at a fairly similar rate. So it may well just be that Jared Fox-Whiteley has saved the tyres, got them into a position in terms of putting enough tyre pressure in to make those tyres work better towards the tail end of the race, where he wants them to work, rather than at the early part of the race, where we know Oliver Fabricius in the early parts of this race was not only holding Lucas Blandford behind, but then when Blandford come through, he was staying with him for a couple of laps before then Blandford managed to move away and Fabricius fell into the clutches of Jared Fox-Whiteley. Time has elapsed at the top. The leader, when he comes through in a few moments' time, will see the last lap board. This is your battle for 2nd place, then. It is Jared Fox-Whiteley now, around about 1 second in front of Oliver Fabricius. And they're going to come down now. Round the final corner, last lap board is out for your leader. He's off down the road about 4.5 seconds in front of this battle between the youngsters, Jared Fox-Whiteley and Oliver Fabricius. They're both in their first year in this mini max class, and Lucas Blandford in his 2nd, and there he is, making his way round Ashby's for the final time. It's been a good final for Lucas Blandford. Got through cleanly on Fabricius, and then has just drove off into the distance. Into the final complex of corners then for Lucas Blandford. The 100% record went with the removal from heat number 3, but he makes amends in the final by taking the checkered flag and victory, and the fastest lap as well here in the Mini-Max class. Jared Fox-Whiteley comes through in 2nd place. Oliver Fabricius completes the podium in P3 with Addison Smith and Jack Stimpson in 4th and 5th. Goff, Melissa Adrian, Ben Adrian, Harry Platek Holland and Callum Foster complete the top 10.